The last week or so has seen Mitchell trending, a million different articles. A lot of people trying to be ITK on Twitter and claiming that there is a deal done between Paul Mitchell and Manchester United. But who is Paul Mitchell? 3 years ago, I did a video talking about how I would like to see Paul Mitchell brought in as the elusive director of football at United at that point still had not appointed. Paul Mitchell is a specialist in recruitment. He's worn many different hats, from director of football to head of recruitment and all sorts of other different roles. And these roles, at every different club, even the same job title can have like vastly varying responsibilities, as can manager. Manager of a football team can mean a million different things at a million different clubs. But for the most part, Paul Mitchell is a man that has specialised in and excelled in recruitment, and he's built a fantastic reputation across Europe for the work that he has done at various clubs. Building a reputation as being one of the best recruiters in the business, it's certainly something that United desperately need. United's recruitment last year, albeit we were all pretty happy with it, I would call it one of the better windows, ironically, that we'd had in a long time. But who recruited them? Or who identified them as targets? You signed Ronaldo, Varane and Sancho and Tom Heaton. Two are former players. One used to live down the road and has been waving his arse at us for how long? And one was the most famous centre-half outside of Van Dijk on the planet. A 12-year-old with the latest edition of FIFA can recruit those players or is aware of those players. There was no hidden gems in that. And over the last decade, and you can argue even maybe a tiny bit before that, United's recruitment has been nothing short of disastrous. We have squandered massive wages. We have squandered massive money. We have tried some low-key signings like your Dan James and Ahmad and Palestri, and as yet, they ain't worked. We've tried world record signings, British record signings, and it ain't worked. We're going to lose 90 million on Pogba. We lost all of our money on Di Maria. We've seen Lukaku come in on an enormous transfer fee and leave. United really need a consistent strategy for one archetype of team, one archetype of player. You've seen the success Klopp is having at Liverpool at the moment. People are coming into the squad and just banging because they've just been recruited for exactly... He knows what he wants and he's instructed the people to go and find what he wants, rather than at Manchester United, if it was Ed Woodward and Matt Judge going, oh, shiny thing, and just bringing it in without any consideration to how that fits into the squad, the personality and everything else that goes with it. And if there's one thing that I think you can point at what Paul Mitchell has done, it's that. Now, he spent most recent job at Monaco. He's also worked in similar roles for RB New York, RB Leipzig, the Red Bull Football Group as a whole, Spurs, Southampton, and MK Dons. And that's where he began his recruitment career, was at MK Dons. Following an appointment of Cal Robinson as manager in 2010, the club created a recruitment division and named Mitchell as the first head of recruitment. And he was responsible for their bringing in of former England international Alan Smith. Yeah, that one. Same one. And it's no secret that United really need to overhaul from top to bottom. Arguably, Sir Alex Ferguson was the director of football, the spiritual leader of United, someone who knew intrinsically what a Manchester United player was, what he wanted to see in Manchester United players. All of those traits he knew. When you're almost in the head coach kind of model at the moment. And Manchester United, through Louis, through David Moyes, through Jose Mourinho, very reluctant to have this sort of director of football hierarchy. Some managers who yearn for the Fergie level of control feel like a director of football is someone competing against them. And in a way, they kind of are. They're someone who's, and they should be, recruit you and then start building a database, a list, a short list, a hit list of who's going to replace you when it goes tits up for you. And I don't necessarily like that. But that is the way that the world has gone. And that's certainly the way that football management has gone. One key focus and one key person to sign, I think would be a deputy director of football to assist or even work on. Look, the names aren't important, but essentially, John Murtagh has come from working with the academy at Manchester United. Does he have the required knowledge, respect in the game, contacts in the game to be able to undertake the monstrous role of director of football at United? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe he's had more of a hand in the appointments of both Rangnick and Ten Hag than any of us could possibly know. But for me, on the outside at least, a specialist like Mitchell, look, put it this way, do United ever get a bargain? No, we do not. So I would look to bring in someone like Mitchell, who's not going to have his pants pulled down. He knows the intrinsic value of all of these different players. He knows the competitive going rate. There's a bit of a meme almost, isn't there, about United fans. We know, we pick up the phone and they go, it's United on the phone, bang an extra 20 mil on top. They might not be able to do that. I mean, they might still try it. But if it's Paul Mitchell sitting in front of you rather than some guy that used to work at JP Morgan, you might have half a chance. You might have half a chance that Manchester United can pull off a sensible signing. Someone that you go, okay, yeah. Paul Mitchell can sit opposite you and go, here's why he's worth this much. This is the going rate and that's what I'm offering you. And if they can't argue back, they might accept it. He has notable Premier League experience. Again, valuable. Worked at Southampton, helped them bring in both Lovren and Mane. Worked with Pochettino, and he went with Mauricio Pochettino to Tottenham. Now, they had a bit of a mixed bag at Spurs. They signed Dele Alli, and although I think David Pleat had a bit of a hand in role in that deal as well. The move for Toby Alderweireld was a success, but other deals like Njai, Janssen proved to be mistakes. He was one of the people that identified and negotiated the deal for Heung-min Son, though, and he might be one of the best players in the Premier League. If Manchester United started identifying players like that, does anyone here have a problem with that? Now, his recent record, he's credited with helping RB Leipzig elevate to the levels they're currently at in Europe. He had a hanging signing Mukele, Haidara, Nkunku, Dani Olmo, Angelino, and as well as organising the Patrick Schick loan deal amongst many others. Of those names, Schick, Haidara and Nkunku, they've all been linked with Manchester United. I've said for a long time, Manchester United feel the need to wait until a player's at that 60, 70 million pound mark before going getting them. We never get them at the first stop. It's always the second stop for us. Mitchell's actually explained his philosophy to Monaco when he took over, and it's similar to how United want to operate in the transfer window. However, with not the greatest success in recent times, it seems to be a more specific approach than being gung-ho with signings. Reiterated by the fact that when he spoke to the Monaco Tribune, he says, doesn't have to be a whole wave of new players. 2 to 3 to 4 players every window of the highest quality that can break into the starting 11's all you need. And Monaco's deals under Mitchell include Myron Bodu, Vanderson, as well as Axel Disasi, Diatta, and also players that Mitchell has helped recruit into Monaco. He is extremely well respected. He seemingly has a great relationship with Ralf Rangnick, and it seems that he's been heavily endorsed for the role. I don't think there's a coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidences. And when you see Marcel Boot and Jim Lawler moving on, that's the head of recruitment and global head of scouting, that really leaves a Paul Mitchell-shaped hole at Manchester United. Now, I could be wrong. Hey, it happens. I'll never apologise for being enthusiastic about my football team and about people that I think can help it. Got a lot of shit in the summer when Saul Niguez turned out to, I don't know, not be the Ballon d'Or winning midfielder that I never claimed he was going to be. I said he improves United's midfield. I stand by that. Saul starts for Manchester United week in, week out. Does anyone actually disagree with that? Chelsea have got like 8 midfielders that are better than any of United's. Him going to Chelsea was a shit move on his part. If he'd have come to United, he'd have played every week. Might have even been enough to get us into that 4th spot. But anyway, I digress. That's who Paul Mitchell is. let's wait and see if there's any further developments on the potential Paul Mitchell to Manchester United move. I would love it to happen. Proper Kevin Keegan style. Love it. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.